Hi there! This is going to be a bit of a different video, but I started a new job this week and I wanted to make something a little bit more manageable while I settle in. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite decks. Blammo! It's this guy! If you haven't heard of Prosper, well, I don't know what kind of rock you're living under, but he's a 4-mana death-touching 1/4 that does two things. 1, he makes you a treasure token whenever you play a card from exile. And 2, on your end step, he exiles the top card of your library and you can play it until the end of your next turn. This is colloquially known as Impulse Draw, and it incentivizes you to churn through your deck quickly while making decisions on what you need and what can stay exiled forever. Although the latter ability is more complex, the former ability, the treasure generation, is definitely the defining factor of the strategy. We're going to get paid off to Impulsive Draw, so that's exactly what we're doing. Florian, Lelia, Professional Facebreaker. I think leading with these three makes the peculiar angle of this specific Prosper list clear. It's a creatures deck. We're rocking a 26 creature lineup and getting a lot of value out of turning them sideways. Lelia is aggressive, impulse drawing on attack and getting bigger as we exile more cards. Florian digs as deep into our library as the life our opponents lose before our second main phase and grabs us a card from that. Facebreaker is one of the best cards in the entire list. Like a reverse Prosper, she makes treasures and converts them into Impulse Draw, allowing our mana to represent ability to dig. Fireglass Mentor is a mini Florian. Wild Wasteland and Share the Spoils keep the Impulse Draw flowing without much else, but oftentimes it's plenty value. Gonti and Rev are part of a new wave of black creatures, which make value rain when creatures hit face, stealing opponents' cards for later plays, and making treasures. Both are welcome additions. Chandra Torch of Defiance is also part of the Cards and Mana Club, and you'll be hearing that often. The flexibility in resource generation is one of the things that makes it so satisfying to play. Alright, time for some big boys. The new Urabrask ups your draw while throwing a wrench in opponents' plans. Bonehorde Dracosaur provides 2 impulsive draws and combat dominance with the tokens it generates, while Dragonhawk impulsive draws for each huge creature you control. If you opt not to play these cards, no problem. He's happy to burn people with them instead. Headliner Scarlet gets our attackers through. Sword of Forge and Frontier adds land drops, gets someone through green blocks, impulsive draws 2, and wards off pesky Gruul removal. Commune with Lava gives you something to pour a bunch of mana into late game, and Black Market Connections and Jessica's Will are, just good cards. Hey, not everything has to be funny, and it's really nice having a commander who makes good cards better. You may have noticed this section is quite extensive, because it is. With Prosper here, we have 18 card advantage engines in this deck. With all these extra cards, we're going to need some extra mana to deploy them all. That's where our ramp package comes in. Since we're in black-red, it's mostly rocks, but there's a few interesting wrinkles to talk about. First of all, Ragavan is a beast here. Well, a monkey. He leads to an early Prosper, and if you can get him through unblocked later, continues to generate both treasures and card advantage. 1 mana, pretty good. Liquid Metal Torque lets us hit hard-to-reach card types with our artifact removal. Curse of Opulence is also 1 mana, and it accelerates our game plan, but it does not make treasures. It makes gold, meaning it doesn't trigger some of our synergies like Zorn and Goldspan Dragon. Still good though. Speaking of which, they're not really ramp per se, but Zorn doubling treasures and Goldspan Dragon doubling what they tap for helps go from the mid-game to pushing towards a late-game win. But what's all this obscene amounts of mana for? Investment? IRAs? Taxes? No, silly, it's for winning the game! As far as win conditions go, some decks have a very circuitous route towards winning, but we have a fairly definable A plan, B plan, and C plan, and they all revolve around burn damage based on treasures. Plan A is structured around Marionette Master. She lets you choose to make her bigger or to make some tokens when she enters, and burns opponents equal to her power when an artifact you control goes to the graveyard. This counts treasure sacrificing, so we're basically always going to be choosing the big mode in this deck. And every treasure now represents 4 damage. Now make as big of a horde as you can and start wiping everybody out by sacrificing these treasures en masse. Plan B is a slower, grindier game plan. Mirkwood Bats, Reckless Fireweaver, and Mayhem Devil all burn people when you either make or break treasures. Now the game plan is to play a little bit of control, remove threats as they come up, and slowly whittle down the life totals on the board. If both of these fail, then Plan C is Torment of Hailfire. We don't necessarily need the treasures for this, but instead the mana that they produce, ideally taking out everyone in a single, huge, mana-invested cast. If these cards get removed, Phyrexian Reclamation, Volrath's Stronghold, and Underworld Breach can get the pieces back. Don't have them in hand in the first place? That's no problem. We have a tutor package. Vampiric and Demonic Tutor, as well as Gamble and Insatiable Avarice, find the pieces or answers depending on the board state. That's a lot of game changers for you. I'd cut Vampiric Tutor and Breach for Scheming Symmetry and Whip of Erebos. The ideal removal is going to depend on your pod, but Withering Torment, Chaos Warp, Abrade, and Feed the Swarm have a flexibility that I love. Fire Covenant can be an asymmetrical board wipe with a hefty life investment, and Toxic Deluge fills a similar role. That's why I recommended Whip of Erebos before. He and Blasphemous Edict help me out with indestructible problems on top of just being efficient. Alright, rapid fire time. Fevered Suspicion and Atali are big splashy plays that feed the Exile train. Infamous Cruel Claw does a little bit of Cascade, basically. Academy Manufacturer accelerates our plan B. Wild Magic Sorcerer actually cascades, which is free value and more Prosper triggers. Roaming Throne doubles both of Prosper's triggered abilities. Wand of Wonder is a silly pet card of mine that gets me removal and counterspells from my opponent sometimes. Should I cut it? Maybe, but it's too much fun for me to. And you get free treasures from it with Prosper, so yeah, I'm right. Douthie is for graveyard players, and then 2 pairs of boots, because Prosper has a bad habit of dying. All the time. Alright, on to the lands. They're mostly unremarkable, largely just basics and colors, but Volrath's Stronghold is recursion for key pieces. Fel the Profane is a 0 opportunity cost removal spell, and Valakut Awakening lets bad, stagnant hands refine and start moving themselves forwards again. I really love this deck. Yes, the commander is popular, and yes, some of the card choices are obvious, but the flowing resources always ensures I get to play Magic every game, and the constant support that R&D is giving Impulse Draw and Treasures means I'll be upgrading this deck for years. So, what did you think? Both about the deck and about this format. Did I miss a card that's great in the deck? Was the video your cup of tea? Let me know. I'm still feeling out what I want to do with this channel, but if you liked it, vote on which of these 3 commanders you would like to see next. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye-bye!